Okay, you got you. We'll see you.
Today is his,
Yes.
Friday night, Saturday night.
Yeah, I look forward to the next one.
Well,
The next one is,
no, I don't look forward to it at all, because even only 48 hours later, I'm, really just starting to do very long weeks. And it went away. But
It wasn't that really well. And then I just had my shoulder. But the next one should be good.
that's
On the right.
just barely.
It's been a while. Minute and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, will that work? You would just modify that, or?
Yeah, we're actually, we had our first AT assistant tech meeting today, that's what 2 weeks ago, and that was one of our public uniform, we need to check out for them, and so we have one of the proposals every month. I just haven't done it yet, this one came out right away, but in the end, we probably wasn't gonna figure it out, but at least it lights a little bit of the initial progress and this is some expensive stuff. And it's pretty right there. Yeah, so we better get such a better for that. For now, I just told you that I don't have time to grab anything. I don't want to do it really apparently. Take care of it. And then if it doesn't have a case, it's a case.
Do they have a program right now?
Yes, but when they could, but this is for a little.
What I'd say is don't give them a comment, still charging them $25, is it? That's okay, like we did. Not a good choice.
And the thing about that is with the new
Special ed, I think
special ed
that
required to be IEP, and I don't know that they can do that, because that's part of their thing.
it's a, it's kind of like, yeah, charging $25.
Or beautiful. We keep saying like that there's some trails there that
Program done, so much easier. When you get out of keeping track of the school trail.
That has not been an easy thing for me.
Yes, actually, one should talk about it. Two, program. It can be requisition on the middle, all a student and an order, plus or minus. So if they, let's say we have to be true or something, that's where you can something. It's like, okay, we should on this day, and to this account.
I mean, I have, it's,
What's probably taking me around 2 hours, and you probably have to run the 10 minutes. Or less.
well, yeah, I mean, I've got, I do tax reconciliation, and I have to,
I think I showed you something over before, because we looked at like standards.
so, yeah.
We talked about second. So, math, it's up to you. Talk to you about it. See what
Oh, and the conversation, done. Right, what, but I don't agree with that, I don't agree with it. Sherry, I think we'll be at 7:40.
I hope. I'd like to be home by 8 o'clock.
So I don't think it's gonna be short, but I think it'll be
Do you think Ryan's got a lot about the budget, or?
not too much. It's easy. That one,
I'm kind of, and I'm not involved with the conversations, but it's kind of worrisome that we didn't get as many people as we wanted in the right positions that we wanted for the stipend.
I think we're doing all right.
You think we'll be okay?
We're doing all right.
I just don't want to have to rip people, you know?
No, we're doing all right.
What grade are your kids in now, John?
Senior, sophomore, and 8th grader.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow, I didn't realize you had a senior. That's crazy.
yeah.
Have they decided where they're going to school or what they're gonna do?
Yeah, she just got accepted to BYU.
Oh, that's awesome.
So.
Are they doing in-person classes, or is it all still online?
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I think by September they should be in class. I can't imagine that.
You know, some of it you can do online, but some of it you can't substitute not being in person.
Yeah.
Just can't do it. Pretty grateful that our kids have been able to be in school.
Yeah.
Breaks your heart for these kids that are in these other states and just
Holy
being
cow.
controlled by adults and politics and everything, and
Holy
you just
cow.
know they'll never catch
I
up.
could, I struggled with 1 week at home,
Yeah.
and
And you can just imagine those inner cities and those big cities that those parents don't have the capability
No.
to do their kids at home, even if they're not working. And most of them work, so what's happening to those kids?
yeah, no,
You know, and you think, 5 or 10 years in the future, that's the working class people.
yeah,
And are you gonna dumb down their degrees to where they go out in the professional world and they can't even compete because they don't have the skills? Because there's no way you can get it all lumped in into, less 2 years or a year to 2 years less than what they already, need to go.
yeah.
It's pretty frightening. Sometimes we don't have the advantages of big city things, but sometimes it's a good thing. I saw today at lunch when I went home that Governor Abbott opened up the whole state of Texas now. There's no restrictions and no mask mandates or anything, and it's like you gotta get back to living.
Well, Scott isn't here and you're teaching you how to do that.
Hey, how are you?
Heck, I couldn't figure out how to get into that when we were talking about today, and I said, oh, which one? Either of them, which one I didn't get into.
Thank you, Miss Sherry.
Hey, Chris.
What was this all about?
Then I got,
The other one.
then I couldn't.
You're gonna have to find out later.
It is, it's like, you know,
I tell you, you won't be able to, it won't be good for you later.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to wait.
My little grandkids go to a charter school in Harriman, and they've been open the whole time. So that's been a good thing.
I got up there Friday night, Saturday morning, I woke up and said, "Yeah, put on these on now." I'm doing it right now. I'm not taking them off. See? See?
Now, why is that?
It's just a thing. It's like I'm hanging on. It's like
Like your lucky socks.
disgusting.
So that's like, in our senior year of the center, as long as we won, he wouldn't ever wash his clothes.
I'm sure
We played in the state championship.
It was a
so
form of,
It was.
it was a form of defense.
Yeah, you didn't have to go out. You just stayed away from.
And I was like quarterback, so you know, he's the center, so I'm right behind him every day.
We punched it together. I don't stink, I like your smell.
Chris was
That's
cold.
weird.
I'm like, on Steve's.
So Steve, I'm gonna recommend one thing. Don't ever go to Las Vegas and think you're gonna win. Your face says it all.
That's true. Where did you go this weekend?
Well, my goal has been to take each kid out to Yellowstone themselves. So Matt took his daughter and I took my daughter, and those two girls had a blast.
Christmas
No, they killed the bison Friday night, and we got to them Saturday morning. This pack is a large pack, it's like 23, but they disperse now because the males will go out to see the females leave the pack over. The group we saw, the highest count we had was 16. But they had that bison. I don't know what it was, but 800, 1,200 pounds. It was the rib cage in the head was all it was unrated. Yeah.
Karen, so Bubba, young meeting, is that for everybody?
Yes. All coaches.
Well, it says spring coaches, so I thought it was just spring coaches.
Spring coaches.
All. Remember that by the 24th?
Well, you may not, but I'll be sitting out more, and I think you can actually put it on your calendar.
I don't know how to do that. I'm fine with that, it's been a while.
You probably see that.
Oh, I just went to get my key and beat me to it. needs to go in the back of the room.
It's in the university, you never do it.
You got the speakers?
Welcome.
I thought Rick had ordered them, they were sitting over there by Rick the whole time, and he was guarding them like they were, you know,
No,
draw back a stomach, he reached out there.
my mom worked in the kitchen when I was in high school. Greatest thing ever. Always had seconds. And I like school lunch. But they make everything homemade, like our school lunch is good too.
I'm gonna get her number written down so that.
I remember Texas sombrero.
Designer.
Texas sombrero is all we do. That's basically what happens.
Homemade hamburger buns, turkey gravy, and school lasagna.
Hot dogs are my number one, I have the school hot dogs.
Cinnamon roll beer with a bun.
My mom makes those at Thanksgiving for all the little ones. And the big little ones.
Try again. Try actually dialing mine real quick.
Okay.
They still put out the school cookbook.
Got it?
Hey, Debbie. Morning, man. How are you? Good. Debbie, I got in trouble for not going home real quick for dinner. Not for missing dinner, but because they had a treat for you that I didn't bring back for you. So, I'll bear that, it's all right.
They're on their way out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
That's all right.
We're all good for Saturday.
I really like the new chairs.
I'd slip out of them. That's why I wore my Levi's today. No, I know. That's why I wore my Levi's today, is because they're a little slippery.
They are a little slippery, I will admit that.
She's on the way back.
Oh,
Okay.
And she wants to be on, so we got this set up. So
Oh,
we'll dial
perfect.
through right
We can dial her in until she gets here? Fantastic. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Did you see Texas opened up?
Yes, I did.
No more mask mandate in Texas.
Oh, seriously?
Yep, they're done.
How much, what's the percentage of the immunizations that they have out there?
I don't know. They
I
just-
wonder what they got to before they did it.
Yeah, he just said, no, we're done. So we're,
Pardon me? No, caller, yeah, on the, because I was just turning my sound off, so my phone doesn't, my kids don't interrupt the meeting.
so I'm gonna go buy 6 different Dr. Seuss books. They'll be collector's items.
Apparently.
Cancel this right out of
Hi, Krista.
existence.
Hi. Okay, so we haven't started yet. Jamie wanted to get you on the phone and ready to go.
You there?
I'll just be on and here we go. Yep, if you can just listen and,
Unless it's time for a vote.
yeah, call her vote.
Yes. I mean, I think it's a little disappointed
All right.
not doing soccer because we really love
All right, it is that time of the evening. Before we begin, I do need a motion to come out of executive session and go into open session. So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Cassie, a second by David. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, welcome everybody. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. While I have my computer still trying to go online here, we have approval of the agenda is the first thing on the list. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda? So moved. Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there anybody that would like to remove something from the agenda or change the agenda? Okay, seeing none and no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. On to the consent agenda items. We have the minutes from February 2nd, the payment of the bills, and the Learning by Design contract of Maria Nelson. On the consent agenda items, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I got Jenny as a motion, Caleb, you're a second, how's that? Oh, that was Dan, okay.
We sound alike.
I swear you do. And it wasn't just me,
Father
remember?
and son here, yep.
Okay. And no one wants to remove anything or change anything? We're good? All right. Seeing no other discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Presentations. We have a special education presentation and activities. So special ed, Matt, you're first.
All right. Figure out how to get it set up.
It's about?
I think I got it.
I am Park Tech.
See if this does the trick. Is there a trick to turn this on?
Should be on already. Is it on already?
I don't.
No, that one hasn't been done.
My legs aren't that long anyway.
I'm gonna have to wear Levi's.
Sticky pads.
Yeah, the Levi's, I don't slide.
Sorry, the board's up here complaining that the new chairs are too slippery.
It's like a ride.
You'll wear them in.
Okay, I think this is on. Madam Chair, members of the board, I appreciate this opportunity to present special education's kind of a reflection of where we've been, our current scenario, and where we're going. To just jump right in, just to give you a few numbers. So over the course of a year, we have all sorts of opportunities to work with kids and to serve kids and to look at how we can support students throughout the district. Throughout all of that, we've worked with about 486 students. Of those, 411 of them are being served through an IEP in special education. Overall, you're always looking at between a 14 and a 15% rate of students with IEPs. You don't want to underserve, and you certainly don't want to overserve. And the trick is to find that sweet spot and get more students, identify students and their needs. So we receive students from LUCDA that are coming in from kindergarten, and our numbers are up this year as we anticipate next year at approximately 58 that way. And then our students expected to graduate or receive a certificate of attendance will be 21. Okay, so that's as of just a week or so ago. Our staffing, and I think we talk about this often, but I can't emphasize it enough. We have got amazing folks that do one heck of a great job through whether it's certified, to our interventionists, our psychologists. We've been blessed in many ways to just get highly qualified in it to win it for kids, people that know kids and want the best for kids through this. So I won't read through all of those numbers, but those numbers represent amazing people that we have the opportunity to work with.
Now, I had a question on the first slide. It talks about the number of students we have on the roster versus those that are active. I mean, is that just because we've had kids move around, or is that we drop services, or what?
Well, it could be. So it could be referrals, that we receive a referral from various sources that way, and those referrals may or may not go to a full assessment.
Okay.
Some of those that do go to a full assessment may or may not qualify. And so that can relate. It also could potentially relate transfers in and out, to your point, that way, which we have had quite a few transfer out. In the same breath, we've had quite a few transfer in, of those students transferring in for our districts, quite a few of them have IEPs. To that point, if it's from out of state, we need to reestablish eligibility if there is meet Wyoming eligibility. If they come in from the state, then those are IEPs that we do not have to reestablish eligibility, but we do need to determine effective services for them here. Great questions. And please feel free to stop me as you need that way. So in addition to our full-time staff, we have various contracts to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our students, from our visual services to Wanda Rogers and Disability In, working with our students to interface with the community, to deaf education, orientation, physical therapy, and so on. We have school psychology on there as well, because one of our 3 psychologists is a contract versus a full-time employee. Dr. Henscheid out of Afton, Wyoming, does a phenomenal job with our kids. So every year we have the chance to get essentially our indicator report card from the state, that through the information that we share with the state, they give us these indicators that have we met them or have we not. And these indicators reflect quite a few different areas. I think it's important to note that our dropout rate right now for students with IEPs for the 19-20 school year was at 2.66%. The target is less than 6.10%. So we are below that. Honestly, any percent is not acceptable, and so we're continually working on how to support students and keep them in school as is appropriate for them. With our participation on statewide assessments, it was kind of a wash, just like everything else. It was not reported. For our students being measured as far as suspension and expulsion rates, did we have an excessive number of students with IEPs that went through that process versus students without? No, we did not. So we did meet that indicator that we are.
How do you measure, what's excessive?
the state would let us know for sure. It's, but yeah, we don't categorize kids, or we don't
Okay.
pigeonhole them when, if a student has an IEP, then let's get them out of here. There's quite a process that supports put in place. Also, as far as the discrepancy in the areas of suspension and expulsion of students with IEPs of a specific race or ethnicity, that way we don't have any discrepancies there as well, as far as the state's concerned. I think down on the LRE is least restrictive environment. So where are we serving our students with IEPs in the best least restrictive environment there is? Now, the target is that we're at 65.09% of those students that are in general education classes more than 80% of the day. And right now we're above that target at 67. And what I'll give just huge kudos to the K-12 continuum is the extent that they're looking at in these IEP meetings, general education and special education educators combined. How do we keep kids appropriately in the general ed setting? How do we continue to get them for Tier 1 instruction rather than only filling holes? Because if you only fill holes, as we've learned, then you're going to create some holes inadvertently. And so how do you get the sweet spot and get it all? And so these numbers represent, hey, we're increasingly getting our students in the general ed setting for the vast majority of the time, while staying appropriate to their needs. And that's always the task of our teachers, general ed and special ed, and our amazing service providers. Then we look at students with IEPs that are inside the regular class, less than 40%. So these represent some of our students that have some pretty severe needs that we're supporting them with. This should be a relatively small number that are being taken out in those situations, and currently we're at 3.15, and we should be below 6.5. So I feel like we're doing great there. And then percent of students in separate schools, okay? And we're below the state target on that as well. Again, I could delve into all of these numbers, but we're meeting the targeted disproportionate representation overall, and we talked about that. Transition planning, we're getting kids setting those goals for post-secondary outcomes, jobs, education, higher education, and so on. And I feel very, very positive about that. And I've got a slide towards the end that's going to highlight and celebrate not only some of our students, but also our community, who's been a great partnership in this. Again, our data is being reported on time. Special ed is notorious for data and paperwork, and we've got people just doing a heck of a great job making sure.
Can I just tell you that 90% number on the post-secondary outcome is, I like it.
Right. Right, and that's why I wanted to make sure that I highlight some of these people that help us get that done. I'm kind of most excited about that slide the most. Parent involvement has been an interesting one. That bottom, towards the bottom there. Historically, the state has just mailed out, "Hey, how'd you feel about this?" and you get a very small handful of people that respond to that. How did they feel like they had an equal say in the IEP process? We've taken that over, so to speak. We ask after each IEP meeting, "Hey, would you mind filling this out and letting us know what you think?" Last year when we did that, the previous year we had about 78.5%, which is good, saying that they were, felt involved. But it was a really, really low number of parents that actually responded to the survey. This last go around in 1920, 90% was like, yeah, we feel like we were involved. And it was, and I don't have the specific number, but it was a much higher number. It was near 100 people that responded, which was a huge increase, which again is a credit to our team. We can always improve with how we work with our parents and our stakeholders, but it was a good indicator that we're moving in the right direction. Now, did not meet the target. These will be our goals moving forward into next year.
So this one says 18-19 report card, right? So we're still on
Yes.
Okay.
This is, it's pretty post-mortem dated that way.
It's kind of stale, yeah.
It is a little bit, but we're always behind the curve a bit. We need to continue to make sure our evaluations are done within our 60-day, and that's IEP regulation, that we have that 60-day windows to do that. There's a lot of relatively good reasons why this goal wasn't made, and we're going to address those, but nonetheless, we need to get those done on time regardless of the situation. Percent of our students enrolled in higher education within 1 year, it's kind of out of our hands a little bit, but again, what can we continually do on this end to launch that upcoming year after high school to be successful? And then you look at the percent of youth with IEPs graduating from high school, this is a deceiving number. Honestly, this is the worst number that we're required to report on. And the reason being is that some of our students, and it's actually, I was talking to the high school, it's, 8, 9, 10 kids that could be affected by this because of their IEP status and because of their need. They don't graduate in 4 years. It's planned that they are not graduating in 4 years. Their programming continues, but because of regulations, it's still counted as a dropout. And
So it doesn't count when they do finish?
Because they can enroll until they're 21.
Oh.
But they don't follow that traditional 4-year graduation track, even though.
And they don't separate those out?
Yeah, they're not graduating with their cohort.
Right.
And so that looks like a black eye. If we added those 9 or 11 students back into the mix of, these kids are finishing. These are top-notch, high-achieving students. It's just not in the typical way.
So what would the number be if you did add them back in, do you know?
I would have to calculate that. That's the number, and I'd be happy to do that. and share
Just
that
curious.
with you. But it's enough to bring up, for sure. So accomplishments of 1920, looking back. COVID did not stop special education. I think that's the biggest one. We never in a million years would I have felt like dream that I was going to send out emails saying for that week that we were in a hard close, or 2 weeks, whatever it was, that, hey, we need to pause because we have no idea how to navigate IDEA in this scenario. As soon as that pause was over, as it was for dang near the rest of the country, IEP services went into effect to the very best of our abilities that way, and teachers and providers and administrators and such did a phenomenal job reaching out to students just like they did with IEPs, just like they did to all students.
If I recall, you had a lot of staff doing a lot of home visits.
We were out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was good for us, honestly, to go see our kids on the porch. We did a lot of porch visits that way, but it was good. Services continued. Evaluations were met appropriately. Parents, school communication was excellent. Teams were innovating, and that is including parents and families. Families are a part of that IEP team. Trainings continued. Special Olympics continued. SST work and training continued. Team teaching supports and understanding what supported teaching looks like continued. Our staff are the key to our accomplishments, right? And then our amazing kids just add to that this is how we do business. We support one another, we push each other, we love kids, and then we continue to move those mountains. Looking forward, we're going to continue to work with our LRE continuum. How do we get kids in those classrooms, in those general education classrooms, as appropriately as possible? How do we support them in the resource room setting, or in a self-contained setting, or in an out-of-district setting, and continually move kids where they need to be to get into those least restrictive environments. We'll continue to look at data. How do we make individual database decisions for each of our students? Timely completion of evaluations to that indicator that I spoke of. Ongoing supported teaching, trainings, and insights. We're going to continue and forever focus on graduation rate. How do we get our students to those best case scenarios? And then supporting our students with the different behavior challenges that they can run into. We're going to, we have an amazing assistive technology component, and we are starting to look into how do we create that as AT team, assistive technology team, so that those barriers can be bridged with assistive technology that can be anywhere from a pencil grip to a eye gaze that tracks your retina so that you can look at and say what you're looking at that way. As far as state level advocacy, we're going to continue to advocate with our legislative branch, the SPED cap, and what's best for kids and how to do that, and we're right in the thick of that right now. There's a lot of unknown, as there is, it seems like every year this time, but we will continue to monitor that and meet as a local and a national, or a state level group. Our vision and hearing support is ever increasing. We're excited for and we appreciate the booth that will be here the end of this month, and we'll get that set up. And once we do, I'd love to have you all come out and take a look at that.
We'll test your hearing.
Test your hearing.
I was gonna say, my kids will be thrilled to hear that. They think I can't hear a thing.
Right.
What they
We'll
say?
sign you up right away.
We can go get our hearing tested.
Yeah, and be able to do the comprehensive educational-based hearing screening. We want to continue to arrange staff in the best budget areas as possible. Continue PLC collaboration, behavior supports and intervention. Continue to hone in on what a standards-based IEP goals and thinking looks like. And what I mean by that is how do we get those goal areas where we've found the deficits that these students need, but really tie it to those grade level standards so that we are moving kids, that we're closing those gaps and getting them their instruction that they need on all levels. Continue to work with our transition IEPs, weaving those post-secondary considerations, the jobs, the college, the internships throughout that IEP that's helping them. Strive for effective implementation, get those student internships, or continue with those internships, and support families through the IEP process. That was a lot of, this is kind of my last slide, but any questions regarding any of that I might be able to entertain or help with?
I think that's a pretty good report card.
So just some shout outs. This focuses mostly on our high school students, this component. But we have 14 students in several in-district and community work environments, and this goes into the summer months as well. Working at Evanston High School, supporting the Hungry Backpack Program, doing community yard care, winter snow removal as it becomes available this year.
I was gonna say, not too much of that this year.
Not too much this year. Uintah County School District #1 support positions. Currently right now, we have a student that works down in our office downstairs that has just moved the needle with our administrative secretary, Diana Olson, supporting our inventory. It's been phenomenal, helping the specific student gain experience in a very needed situation. Also with Mr. Ellis and the Red Devil Ranch, Mr. Berger's got a winter feeding program out there that our students go out and support the ag program and make sure the livestock are well taken care of. That's very impressive. We have 3 gainfully employed positions, and this is where our community is phenomenal. At the lumberyard, Compassionate Journey, and then as well as the school district here through substitute custodial work. Just amazing people. There's plenty more of those opportunities. We also have 4 community internships going and more to come through Home Decor for Pete's sake, Bear River Dental, and Varsity Inc. Amazing community partners that just know and know how to support kids and know how to get these kids moving in the right directions. I want to give kudos to Evanston High School, Ryan Berger, Randy Swan, and their staff up there that help in this vocational work. Davis Middle School with Carly Vickla Knight and her staff that prepare kids to get there and do some of these pre-vocational activities, as well as Megan Young and her staff at Uintah Meadows and at North Elementary, and Taylor Limoges and her staff at Uintah Meadows Elementary. They get these kids prepared. Yeah, I do. And then last but not least, with our Special Olympics, we weren't able to compete in our Winter Games where we were supposed to, so we had our own. It was phenomenal. Just did a great job. There needs to be big congratulations to Briar Faddis. He was supposed to be in, I'm going to get this wrong, I think it was Finland this winter. Obviously that got canceled. But he will represent Evanston, Wyoming in the United States of America at the World Special Olympics game in Russia this next winter. And so we've just got a great program through Special Olympics, great people, great coaches. And as you can see, through these employment opportunities, just doing a phenomenal job exposing kids to all sorts of opportunities. So I appreciate the opportunity to present. This is a phenomenal school district. This is the second one I've worked in, and it's just been a choice opportunity and continues to be. I'm excited for our future. There's a lot of things that would otherwise distract us, and we're not getting distracted from the students on up. Every once in a while we might get distracted.
Well, certainly
Good stuff.
we appreciate the extra mile that your staff had to go through during COVID. We recognize it and appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
man.
very much.
Good job,
Thanks so
man.
much.
Okay, activities, is that you, Bubba?
Who put this together for him? Who put this together for him?
I don't know. Maybe he did himself.
He did.
Simon, they're showing
Wanted to take my mask off.
That's
I've
fine.
been vaccinated, I've had COVID, I don't know if I'm gonna give anybody anything or get anything, but,
You're the closest thing we have to Texas here, and they went mask-free, so go ahead.
there you go. Madam Chair, members of the board, most of you received my evaluation from Sherry. I'm not gonna go through that entire evaluation, and basically what I did was go through 5 standards that I believe were significant to me and the programs that I'm involved in, and talk about, no, I'm not going to go through all that. Commendations and things that need improvement. There were a lot of needs improvement, and I know that, and it's something I work on every day. I really covered the evaluation starting 9 years ago when I took the job, not knowing exactly what I was getting into. I was a coach, and I knew how to coach, and I knew how to teach, and I did not know what this job really meant. I got a lesson this year. At times it was very difficult, and definitely not something I signed up for, but it was fun, and it was challenging, and there's some things that we wound up getting out of this COVID situation that are going to make all of our programs much better, from buying washers and dryers and cleaning kids' clothing on a daily basis. That was unbelievably valuable to all that was involved with that. And that was just one example. What I want to focus on here tonight, and I want to try to make this as quick as I possibly can, I want to focus on our mission statement. This is our district mission statement. And you know, as I try to evaluate myself, I want to know whether or not I'm really contributing to the educational process, and what I'm doing is contributing. What I'm trying to do as a leader, is it contributing? So I went through the mission statement, and I had to go back. I'm sure many of you probably haven't read that mission statement and know it really well. I know it pretty well. I wrote down the key words from that mission statement. I think it's really a great statement. We're going to be challenging, we have high expectations, positive relationships, persistence, and maximum student effort. Those were the key words to me that came out of the mission statement. And I have to look at the programs that I oversee, and are we really marrying what we do with the mission of the district? And I think we fall short in a lot of those areas. And so, as I went through those standards, I wanted to make sure that I was covering that mission. And I think, again, it's a great mission statement. I think it does exactly what we need done in activities, but in our school district as a whole. If you go through there, I just want to explain the standards so you understand I wasn't bragging. The standard itself is what we should be doing. When I wrote the standard, these are the things that, and under program guiding principles, these are the things that I expect to be done by me, my staff, so on and so forth. And some areas, the commendations, the areas that I think we do a pretty good job. Coaches, my staff, Boyd and Donna, and those young men that work for us as well. And then on the bottom of each one of those talks about areas for improvement. I'm not going to go through all of those. I would take all night. If you'd like to look at those, I think they're fair. I don't think they're there's more to each one of those, more things that we need to cover, more of those areas of improvement that I need to make sure that I get on there. There's one on here that I really want you to look at, one of the standards. I'll get down here.
While you're looking, Bubba, one of the things I noticed was, you know, in the mission statement, we also have collaboration as part of the mission. And I see that in your areas for improvement, your goals of being better at the collaboration with our stakeholders, and I appreciated that a lot.
That is my weakness. I'll be honest with you. As a coach, it was my weakness. As an AD, it's my weakness, and I know it. I don't like to talk to people. Contrary to what everybody here might think, I hate doing what I'm doing right now. I want to go to the games. I want to watch the games. I want to make sure they go off, and I really don't want to be a part of anything other than watching. I'm not a cheerleader. I'm not very good at that most of the time.
But if you think of it as your new team,
yes,
then you collaborate.
Yes, and I do. I do need to make sure that I do a better job of that. There's no question in my mind. Where I missed something here. I want to talk about what we provide in terms of being all-inclusive. As far as our programs, there's 0% variation. In terms of we offer the same amount of funding, we provide the same quality of coaches, we try to. Our facilities are the same, everything that we offer is the same. It doesn't matter if it's a boys sport or a girls sport. And that doesn't seem like it's a big deal. It's going to become a really big deal for you guys as time goes on. I hope it's not a big deal for me. In standard number 3, talk about gender equity observations indicate 0% variance in opportunities provided and resources available. And it talks about we have more girls involved in our activities than we have boys. We do because we offer cheerleading and dance, which are predominantly girls' activities. And some of our other activities see more girls involved than boys. Even though we have football, which is nearly 100% boys. Wrestling, we have about 10% of the wrestling population is girls today. We had 4 to start with. I think we wound up finishing with 3. So we have gender equity, and I think that's really important to state. Title IX has become a topic that, as a district, we've had to address, and I believe it's something that I need to address using other stakeholders to make sure that we're providing everything. I have a daughter that was involved in activities, and I would not want her to be cheated by something that I've done. So we'll make sure we do that. I want to skip down to my summary. And there's a lot there, and basically it's just a reflection on 9 years, but it was also a reflection on the year that we've had. And I really don't want to look back at this year. I don't want to really talk about the year. You know, we're 2/3 of the way through, and I can tell you in March, that man sitting there had a great deal to do with us being back here and our activities actually taking place. I went from disappointment to anger to worry and to jubilation when we found out we're going to be able to start. And I never believed at any point that we would make it to this day. I think there were too many hurdles, too many obstacles, too many people that didn't want us to get where we are. You look at other states, and I won't mention those states because I don't want to offend anyone, but states like California and New York that really struggle with the idea that people can do great things if you give them an opportunity. And I really want to make this one statement. The newspaper interviewed me about some of the budget woes that we're about to go through and whether or not these things should go away. And I go back to June, and the entire country is terrified, including me. You know, when I caught COVID, it scared the dog out of me because I was made to believe I was going to die. And at times I felt like I was going to, but obviously that's not the case. We were made to believe that, and we had coaches. The moment I said we can have open gyms, and we can be with our kids, and we're going to have fall sports, we had coaches and teachers and administrators and support staff, my staff, that they were all in. No matter what the rest of the country was saying, they were all in. And when people talk about cutting budgets and we've got to do the people that I dealt with for our kids would do anything. Because here's the deal, you're going to give them a paycheck no matter what. The rest of the country's getting a paycheck. And our teachers and our coaches and our support staff and our administrators, don't worry about a paycheck. It's time for those kids to do what they do. And one of the coaches said one morning, the very first morning, I guess, that we were allowed to do our thing, they were outside and the sun was rising, and there were kids in every corner of our football stadium doing their workouts. And one of the coaches said, "This is where we belong." And I said that says a lot about the people that I work with and what our kids mean to them. Now, I'm saying that, and I also believe that we've got a long way to go. We've got a lot of things that we need to work on. That's over. And now we need to take a huge step forward. And I've outlined some of those things, and you can ask questions on that. Again, I don't want to go into everything that I said. Some of the things embarrass me because I misspelled something or inappropriate, poor sentence structure. But if you guys have any questions for me, I'd love to answer any one that you have. If you had a chance to read those, I'd love to answer those questions.
I have a question, just a comment, Bob. I have a senior in high school, you know him. We were scared last year this time. They got turned around from state. Here we are a year later, and they played. He's played, you know, a lot of people participated in activities and sports. We've seen your efforts, seen efforts of your staff, and it has been unnoticed. I'm personally grateful. I know a lot of us in the community are very grateful. States, California, New York, it just baffles me. Colorado, brother in Colorado, they're way behind. And here we are progressing, moving forward. We haven't missed a beat. And much appreciated your staff and me personally, so thank you.
Well, yeah, and I thank you for that. And I would say this, and I've said this to Jared, and I've said it to our administration many times, those guys that are part of our custodial staff, they were at every game cleaning those bleachers, helping us empty those bleachers and bring people back in. And what I was so impressed with, not one complaint, and every dadgum one of them did it with a smile on their face. And that's, again, that says a lot about the people that you guys are in charge of. And these guys are in charge of. It's pretty awesome to watch that. You know, there were some grumpy people out there, but I don't know many of them were, besides me, not many of them were our district employees. They did their jobs to the best of their ability, they did it with a smile on their face, and I'm proud of all of them, very proud of them, so.
Well, it was very apparent that, you know, it was for the kids. They were doing it for the kids.
I hope our state legislators understand that. We're going to go through this process in the next month or so.
You know, Bubba, I think you've said it really, really well. I mean, you know, this district and this administration and this team has, you know, always been committed to let's get back, let's get our kids there, let's do it face-to-face, let's do what we can face-to-face, and it's worked. And it's made a huge difference. And you look at our district compared to others that I talk to, and it's, wow, even within Wyoming. Even within Wyoming. So, yeah, great kudos to you and your staff. Again, I appreciate the honesty of the report. I did. I thought, you know what, this is good. You recognize sort of the deficiencies, and this is good. You've got your ability to go forward, and I can't echo your sentiments more. You know, the staff has been phenomenal, and even the community, you know, going in and out and having to do all that, and the students. I don't know about you guys, I didn't get any calls about that. Everybody did it. They may have grumbled, but they did it, and it worked. Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. O'Neill, I have a question. On the participation, it said that 80% with middle school and 68% at the high school. How do we compare with other schools?
You know, I think we compare favorably with most all schools in the state. You know, you've got the outliers. I think we are one of those outliers, along with Star Valley and Cokeville, which is almost 100%. But we're right there. Our kids are involved. You know, we have a program that we use called Family ID. I know to the exact number the kids that are involved in their activities because they all have to sign up through that program, and it's impressive. We're going to have 240 middle school kids out for track here in 2-3 weeks, and those are phenomenal numbers. You know, 240.
Even without a field house.
Without any, they'll be out there in that cold or in the hallways at their schools, doing their thing and doing it with gusto. And I love it. And we'll have the same thing at the high school. We'll have a couple hundred kids involved just in our athletics and 2 programs. We're going to have the school musical. We have a lot of our culminating events in the FFA or in our arts.
And that's what I was going to say. It wasn't just the athletics. It was, you know, having the school plays and having the dinner theaters and having the music competitions and having all of those things that we're able to keep going.
Well, and I would say this, you guys deserve a lot of credit for that as well. I know Mr. Thomas is sitting over here, and many days I went down to him and I said, I don't think we're going to have school next year, and I don't think we're going to have activities. And, you know, you guys and him and our other administration, our assistant superintendents and administration around the state, they got it done. And the big thing is they allowed the professionals to find a way, and they found a way. And here we are. I think we're past most of this, and we're going to be able to finish
and we were able to work with our local health department to find a way, and that's a big part of it too.
Absolutely, and they were very supportive, and I appreciate it. I don't have any kids that are involved in our activities. Obviously, they're not in school, and I really don't have any relatives here to speak of. Dave is probably the closest relative I have to me in Evanston, and he doesn't have any kids either, so I don't know him anything as we go along here. But the kids mean a lot to our community, and them to have their opportunities and to be able to fulfill what they should be doing as young men and young women. Pretty awesome. So thank you guys again.
Thanks, Bubba.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anything else for me?
Maybe.
You're off the hook.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, wait, here we go.
I'm sorry. So, I kind of want to piggyback on kind of all these other comments made, that, you know, being in school in person is wonderful. I've said it many times before, but having the opportunity to be in activities is even better. And, you know, this year I've really seen the importance of activities. Like, I just got done with indoor track, and boys got back from state, and just all the connections and all the involvement of all these students in just every activity. Like, I'm involved in many, and many of my friends are as well. And it's just so important, and I'm so glad we're able to do activities, so thank you.
Well said. All right, thank you very much. Next up on the agenda are the school reports. So for those of you that want to come give us a report, come on down.
Madam Chairman, we're all up here. I thought it would be, I'm excited. I just received notice today
that the Uinta County School District number 1 is fully accredited for the school year. You know the process. That's really good news for us. It focuses on our HRS goals and what we're doing there, and being fully accredited without any follow-up is pretty impressive. So hats off to all our administrators, all our staff to do that. Like I said, it's pretty exciting. We'll get a certificate and I'll come up here and brag again. But, congratulations.
You have the right to do that. Thank you.
Great job.
Madam Chairman, can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
If I could, please. I'm new to the board, and I do not have children or grandchildren in the district. And so if I could impose upon the people that come up, if you've got a mask on, if you could introduce yourself and tell me what school you're from, that would be really great for me, and then I could kind of correlate who people are and where they belong.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
District office.
That would be Mr. Thomas, the superintendent, yes.
So my name's Merle Lester, high school principal, and anyway, thank you guys. I just wanted to do, one celebration. We had Peyton Vernon win the shot put this week. So we got a state title out of Peyton, and anyway, Diggory and Seiler, our very best students here, they were on the track team. You weren't able to go though, were you, Seiler?
No, that was good.
Yeah, I got over COVID the week before.
Oh, dear.
Seiler.
And then you got it after?
Oh, yeah. It was a party.
So Seiler's just getting over it, so anyway, congratulations to Peyton Vernon though, they're super. Coach Barker believes that he may break Brady Papinga's shot put record.
Wow.
Did he?
Okay, that's impressive.
He went over 56?
And
Did he really?
Wow.
so
Wow.
Coach Barker's hoping that he's
Huh?
gonna get it,
Before state.
yeah, hoping he's gonna get it around 59.
Seriously?
Yeah, so-
Outdoors.
Which would actually put him up kind of in the national ranking.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
super
Close to
excited for
60.
him. Just wanted to update you on the prom. We received permission from Public Health to kind of go ahead and plan it. So we're in the planning phase right now. We're trying to get it, we're looking at April 24th as the prom. It'll be a junior-senior prom. The sponsors and the committee's looking at Friday night, the night before, to actually do promenade. And so the juniors will promenade, and then the seniors will promenade right after, so they'll be in two different groups.
Okay. And do that Friday night
Friday night's
separately?
kind of- Yeah, so I'm supportive of that. because-
Whatever we can do.
Yeah, because of the timeline, we're going to do the prom in the high school, and part of the reason with all the setup and everything that needs to happen on Saturday and having all the people in, it kind of makes sense to me. So that's kind of what we're looking at tentatively now. We're allowed to have 400 people in the gym.
Wow.
And then we're also allowed to have people through the commons. So if we were to kind of string it out, the dance would be in the gym, and then pictures and food and everything we would push out into the commons to be able to make it so that every one of our students can come. This year, though, I've asked that we're not going to allow visiting students from other schools to come in.
Right.
Because of our number being so tight, I'm nearly looking to have to.
You're going to have to date each other for the prom.
Yeah, so we're, the number's going to be so tight and so close that, I don't want to have to restrict freshmen to allow visitors to come, for example. So I just don't want to place limits on our kids. So we'll work through that with public health, try and get it all approved, and then we'll let you know. So we're developing the plan to make sure it jives with public health, but I believe it will, having done enough with them now, that I think that's kind of where we'll look at. As far as graduation will be outside again.
Cool.
And it almost has to be because of the number, or else we'd have to limit each student to.
I gotta tell you, Merle, that was fun, and I like it way better.
Yeah, so the issue though is we won't be able to have cars because we have nearly 50 more graduates this year than we did last year. And last year we filled up the football field. So we would have just specific areas on the field for families, and we'll just have them bring their own lawn chairs, and we'll just separate.
But just square them, like you laid out the squares and.
And then we'll just say, we'll just let them draw. So we'll just let kids random draw, and whatever number they draw is where they sit in a grid. And
So we'll look at just some ideas to make it fair, but I believe it's gonna have to be outside. And if it snows that day, we're still gonna do it. Bring a parka and bring whatever.
It's Wyoming, we're ready.
Yeah, it's Wyoming, because we can't take it back inside, and then we'll try and figure out some numbers, but I'm really hoping that we could get up around 8 to 10 per graduate to be able to put outside, because we could cover the track, and we can cover that whole square footage, and I believe we'd probably be okay. But I'll be working with public health to get some of those things figured out. I just wanted to give you an update that we do have a prom date set, and we have permission from public health to plan it, and so I think we're getting a pretty good plan. We have a meeting tomorrow morning, 7:30, with the committee again. So.
Fantastic.
Do you have a date for graduation?
It's May 29th.
29th.
Memorial Day, yeah, the Saturday. is
28th for
Memorial.
Verizon.
It's the Saturday before Memorial Day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the 28th for Horizon, yeah.
Verizon's Friday before.
So it'll be Saturday will be at 11 o'clock, so we'll just do the same time.
Bring your parkas.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, and I don't know if you can answer this, Merle or Ryan does, I mean, in terms of getting our teachers vaccinated, where are we? Have we started that?
We have, and we actually had a lot of them get vaccinated on Thursday. I don't have I know from the high school, it was...
We had 225 sign up, but we probably had more that already got vaccinated at Walmart.
Okay.
When we do it again, we'll have another first round and another second round. So we're hoping to,
So we're getting good numbers.
yes.
Fantastic.
And it was very well done, like I said, at the bus barn, pretty impressive to do that many people, and we had 3 hours. So,
Excellent.
I didn't get it yet, because I just got over it. It makes you really sick if you've already had it. So
The first one just made a sore arm, second one, little,
Anyway.
yeah.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Good evening. I've been kind of silent for a while, but
Introduce yourself.
my name is Eric Christnott, and I am the principal at Evanston Middle School. I just wanted to stand up and let you guys know that I'm also grateful. So, Madam Chair of the board and the rest of the board, thank you for the support that you've given us as administrators, and in letting our upper administration make the decisions that they've made as far as keeping kids here. I'm just now writing a newsletter because I'm a couple days behind, and as I thought about it, there's so many people that we have to be grateful for, not only the students and the parents and the coaches and the directors, but really we have to be grateful for the support staff that we have in each one of these schools. And they work so hard to make sure it's a healthy, safe environment. And I'm grateful for them, and I'm grateful for the teachers that have done their best also, because it's kind of a pain in the butt to have to spray off your table every day, wear a mask every day. You guys know it, and you're in your own personal businesses and things. Try it with 300 plus, or as in the high school, 800 plus, And it takes a big, concentrated effort to work with one another in a collaborative effort. I also wanted to say that, Evanston Middle School, we found that we had a team this year, 8th grade basketball team just won Southwest Regionals this past weekend. They, I think, only lost one, maybe 2 games the entire year.
Just one game,
One
18
game.
and 1.
And so, but the best thing about that, I think what's really important for you guys to do, to understand, is not one of them, and this hasn't happened for a long time, our coaches have said, not one of them was on the D or F list at any time during the season. And the coaches were like, never has this happened.
That's awesome.
Never. And I talked to Mrs. Peterson, she's like, oh, the girls do it all the time. So, okay. It was a pretty neat thing, and they stole the poster, brought it home. We're going to put it in the trophy case. And, the first year, this is the first year they haven't given a trophy at the conferences. So I'm going to pat him on the back. The coach himself had a trophy made for them. He says, you make sure this gets in the trophy case. Right. We'll make sure that happens.
I'm going to gather those kids around and say, hey, let's go open this trophy case and put it inside. So just wanted to give them kudos and all of the different activities because, man, we worked hard. I appreciate the high school and Davis for allowing us with our little auditorium to go to their schools and use their auditoriums and use their support staff, as I've said, to clean and everything. We really appreciate it. So just wanted to make our voice heard as to the gratitude that we have for everybody in this district.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. All right, no other school reports. We will move on to discussion items. The first one is the budget update. Please tell me you have good news, Mr. Thomas.
Yep. Madam Chair, members of the board, the good news I have is we're still aiming at a moving target. So in terms of legislation, the legislature met in person for the first time yesterday, and they're moving forward. Our target for us, we set arbitrarily is 100 million, so that makes our cut 8.24%. I can tell you that the strategies we talked about last month, we were again looking at those strategies and we'll continue in those strategies. Number one, our plan is to spend down the reserve. Number two is spend the ESSER 2 funds, roughly $1 million of those in this categorical situation. We'll reduce through attrition whenever possible and significant reductions to our operating budgets. The operating budgets ones we've actually shared with our administrators. They're aware of what we're looking at. They believe they can do it. The rest puts us in a position to be ready when we finally get a number. And I think that's good news.
There was some movement today. It may not be that drastic, but I'm glad you're preparing for that.
Yes.
I mean, that was sort of the initial thing that we thought, and certainly if we're ready for the $100 million cut statewide, then we can be ready for something less than
Yes,
that. And
we
let's
will
hope
be.
for the less than that and a new revenue stream, so.
Yes. So before I go out to the staff and talk about where they can help us save, I need a better number, so we'll let the legislative process go through. So I originally scheduled, if you remember, sometime in April to go to the staff and talk about the staff. If it's good news, that'll be an easy message, and if you have to cut a little deeper, well, that, I think our staff will respond and we'll be fine.
Well, thus far, the bills don't say deeper.
Yeah, no, they haven't.
So let's hope. And, you know, and the state revenue projections were higher as well. So, I mean, I'm sort of optimistic and hopeful, but, you know, plan for the worst. So, thank you. Talk to us about policy JEB.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm going to let Dr. Ingalls cover that one.
Okay.
Thank you, Superintendent Thomas. Madam Chair, members of the board, you have a policy, JEB. This is first reading of that particular policy. Became necessary due to statutory language from last year's session. And the real change that came about was if a student was born between, they turned 5, in between August 1st and September 15th, there needed to be a process put in place. And that process was to determine the readiness and developmental readiness of that student. And then a parent needed to actually submit a request for their child to be allowed to come to school. That process starts at our kindergarten screening and moves forward. Where we have gone as a district, and my thanks to our kindergarten staff, we met on 3 different occasions, put together a real screening that was evidence-based as well as research-based that looked at a student's social emotional. We have and we utilize the Bernat's 3 from age 5.0 to 5.5 as an academic screener. We just needed to put that other piece in place, as well as an application that was put into place and agreed upon that then was discussed with parents at that screening time. If necessary, those students could be given that assessment again in May after they've had a chance to come to our activity nights and to be part of that process and to move that work forward. Principals have done a really nice job as well in guiding that process with their staffs, as well as moving that forward during the kindergarten screening time. The language is listed here, came pretty much directly out of statute. The caveat to this right now is that there's a bill that would scratch some of that language and would actually move it to August 1st rather than the September 15th. And so we'll see what happens with that. We may be back. But that is first reading on this particular policy. So any questions on that?
No, I mean, I think the change is appropriate, and like you say, we did have to come into compliance with state statute, and quite frankly, this is the national trend.
Yeah.
I know that other states are doing the same thing, so appreciate it. And this will be on later, right, for the first reading?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Policy CKA is next on our discussion items.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Jeff Phillips asked me to extend his apologies for not being here tonight. He has a prior engagement he couldn't get out of, and we had a lengthy discussion today about what we need to talk about with CKA. The biggest thing is to remind all of you about the hearing on Tuesday the 30th. That will start at 6 p.m. We're an expert at this by now, but this will be an opportunity for you as a board to listen to oral comments from the public.
And the public can also submit written comments as well.
Yes, and that's the other thing that I need to talk about, and just to remind you, if you get someone that comes to you face-to-face and comments on CKA, you need to record that. And last time we did it, 2 years ago, I think, I just provided you a form that you could use either electronically or print it off and use a physical copy. I'll do that again. You'll see it in your boxes tomorrow.
Okay.
Your email tomorrow.
So, yeah, I just, the date, the time, the place, who you talked to, what they said generally, and then it goes as part of the packet, so.
And for us to use that, it does have to be in writing, so that's why we're doing that. There are several bills pending that will affect our CKA. Probably 3 that I'm aware of, one of which continues to use the language that's in statute 21.3.132, which allows us to have concealed carry. I think the strength of that is, what I'm trying to say is we need to continue forward, because if that legislation passes and it still has that statute in it, it will give us an opportunity to require certain training before someone can conceal in our own schools, even if gun-free zones go away, and they'll have to tell us that they're going to carry, which again, we think is pretty valuable in our policy CKA.
Ryan, what time was that public hearing?
6 o'clock. Also, I'd like to invite you, you're always welcome, and everyone actually is welcome. I have my first committee meeting with law enforcement this Thursday. I think it's at 3:30, and it'll be in here. And got great response from our law enforcement, sheriff's department, and police department. Really what we're asking them is exactly what statute requires. They do have to sign off on components of our policy. And then in addition, because we went beyond statute, we will ask for recommendations about weapon type, ammunition type, penetration, and we will ask them to sign off on those required portions of the statute, but as in the past, we won't require them to sign off if they support the policy. I think that's what we've done in the past, and they agree to that. So, because we already have a draft policy, I don't think it'll take us as long as the original committee we put together to develop the policy. I think it'll go much quicker. I'm thinking 2 or 3 times, and we'll have what we need. So they'll review the policy and review the additions, and specifically those things that in policy or in statute they have to sign off on.
Thank you very much. Legislative session update.
That's me too.
That's you too.
It's been very interesting.
Speak up a bit, I'm just having a hard time hearing you.
We're going to make him go to a microphone, Krista.
Krista, does this help?
Oh yeah, that's much better.
Okay.
I just didn't catch the date. You said there was going to be a public hearing on the CKA. What date was that?
Tuesday, the 30th of March.
At 6.
At 6, right here.
Great, thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, there is lots of action right now in our legislature. I've spent the last couple days listening to the House Education Committee. The House Education Committee has the challenge of recalibration, so they've spent a great deal of time on 61. Remember, 61 actually set our mark at reducing funding by 100 million. So they went through recalibration, and then they just established 100 million off the top. In the 2 sessions they've met, they've taken that, several amendments. One is 89, which you're familiar with, which only cut 50 million, but it also cut activities, teacher days, and administrative salaries. They took a portion of that, and the Simpson Amendment, which actually took the 100 million and targeted specifics of the recalibration. They took portions of that and had amendments to the amendments. Well, where we are now is they've reduced the cut to about 22 million in 61. They've also added a 1 cent sales tax specifically for education. Trying to think what else specifically they've done.
Well, they've brought it down to 22 and 61, but then they've added 171 that has another something, 66 or something, yeah.
and in that conversation, Representative Summer was really pretty clear that he was going to propose additional legislation following the white paper that was written in 2016 that stated that we have to have, if we're going to cut education, we also have to reformat how funding is streamed into education and also taxes, revenue source. So his new legislation, which I haven't seen yet, Mr. Rigby has, actually takes all those components in, and that's a $66 million cut. Hasn't even been looked at. My guess is they'll probably whittle that down too. I think that's the good news of what I've seen so far. There are several, and I'll say several legislation that sits out there about educational funding where individuals have taken shots at recalibration. But really, like I said, it's been this joint committee on recalibration that put this recommendation together. It goes through the House Education Committee. I guess the good news is 100 million may be the top. There are a couple that would cut substantially more, but I just don't think they'll get leverage. They still violate the equal protection under the law, and so I think they'd be found unconstitutional. So I'm just going to go quickly, if you're okay with some of the bills, just so you know where they are. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. House Bill 81 is act relating to school finance litigation. That's the legislation where they're proposing.
Said we're not allowed to sue.
Schools cannot use general funds to sue. It was brought up in the Education Committee right at the end of the day, yesterday, I guess, and it wasn't well received. The chairman made it pretty clear exactly what kind of our position is
that it's unconstitutional?
It's unconstitutional. You can't take the right of a school district whose only source of revenue is from the model not to sue. Actually made a very good point that if you look at especially the Campbell lawsuits, it's made education equitable in our state. And so I thought it was pretty good. So they never took a final vote to see if that's moving forward. I have a feeling they'll do that tomorrow. House Bill 89, like I said, those were amendments to 61. 89 is the one where cut activities in half, administrator salaries, teachers by 5 days. That was really kind of cut apart in amendment, and all they moved forward was administrative salaries. So I think that's basically gone.
Yeah.
House Bill 129 is kind of the one we talked about, hinted at, it's a little scary. That repeals funding to all activities and transportation for activities, which would end any kind of activity in our district, including field trips and elementary and
somehow, some way, I don't think that one's going to pass.
I don't think it will either, but it's still out there. House Bill 79, let's see. Oh, this is the Medicare one, that we can bill Medicare. My only concern with that is we already get written up every year about having a small staff in the business department. We can't separate duties. This would be a huge duty. I think we'd have to add staff, and hopefully they're willing to fund additional staff. If they do it at the state level, that concerns me about how it works, but it's still out there too. We talked about 61. House Bill 117 and House Bill 67 are almost mirror bills. This is an act relating to concealed weapons, repealing gun-free zones. I believe 117 was sponsored by Mr. Wharf, or Representative Wharf. 67 is the one that links it to the statute 213137, or the concealed carry. There's also one coming out of the Senate that just repeals gun-free zones. And so it's still out there on the floor. House Bill 115. This was one I'm kind of interested in, that's why I highlighted it. This requires State Board of Education to establish minimum amounts of pupil-teacher contact time. So in other words, I have a feeling this is in response to screen time. And what will be accounted for a full day of school. Excuse me.
So 4 hours of
School.
screen time doesn't count a full day of school?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they work that. And then how are they going to do that with online? Is it face-to-face, or is it just, you get on this site and do this homework and you get a grade? So that will be interesting. One to keep an eye on. Again, that's 115. 138, this one's interesting, I thought. This is about you guys.
Is this the one that says, we want one big giant state school board?
No, it's another one. That was coming too. This is relating to ballots. It allows school board candidates to identify their political party.
Why?
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
why?
It's out there.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
No, okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
House Bill 52 is the one about using local sources for meat.
We liked that one a lot.
I like it.
We need a
Slaughterhouse.
slaughterhouse.
You know what's sad is the Simmons that just passed away, his goal was to come back to Evanston to open up a meat packing
Really?
plant. That was one of his goals.
Yeah, Merle just mentioned that it's like 6 months out to get something butchered right now. That sounds like good. So that's 52, keep an eye on that, and our food services really were aware of it. House Bill 77 is the one about consolidation in counties, so that would affect us. It goes from 48 school districts to 23. So
Basically, they would get rid of all local school districts, create one big giant one, or create these 23 districts
Yes.
that may or may not be confined within a county, and then, apportion accordingly.
Yeah.
Brilliant, right?
Yeah. So we would be, you went to 1, 4, and 6.
Yeah.
Senate File 68. Let's see. This is the one about, it allows the board and administration to define unexcused absences. So we've put that in the delegate assembly, how many years. This doesn't go quite as far as we would like to see it go, but it does allow us to have more of a say in
And what that
unexcused
is,
absences.
yeah. I like that one.
And there are no additional teeth put in it, unfortunately, but it would be better for us at least to deal with our unexcused absences and how we deal with that.
Okay.
The challenge with attendance, you all aware, is the consequences. For someone who is identified with educational neglect, there really is no consequence. $25 fine or 10 days in jail, and we're not going to put them in jail.
Yeah.
We need something else, because attendance is very crucial to success. Okay, well, that's all the ones that I highlighted. There's a million. I think, I can't remember how many they said, but those are the ones of interest. There are some that I just don't think will have any room to run, and I didn't waste your time with those. So. Questions?
Yes, I have a question. Did they quantify how much revenue the 1 cent sales tax would create
The last number I heard was 160 million a year.
a year?
And what's nice about that is they can turn it on, and in 30 days, funding will stream into education. And they can turn it off, and funding stops flowing. The way they've set that amendment is it will not take effect until the reserve account dips below $650 million. Right now, it's at $1.5 billion. So it's a few years out there if it's 300, if we're 300 million short for the next couple of bienniums. So I think that's all I have. So, any other questions?
No, thank you very much.
Our principal Hamilton did testify that the House Education Committee did a great job, represented us very well, so I appreciate that. It's hard to do because you're talking to a committee that some of them aren't very friendly toward education, but Chad did a great job.
Great.
Appreciate it. Can I just say that sometimes dealing with legislative bodies, not including us, of course, but, you know, it causes traumatic brain injury. Let me just say that.
Well, I've always said, when you speak before the board, and now it's even worse with your mask, you can't really see facial expressions and you can't read people. And it's not that you don't care, it just sometimes seems like it's hard to do.
Thank you very much. All right, we have come to the portion of the meeting where we will take, oh, no, wait, I have one more item. Sorry, certified contracts.
Madam Chair, members,
Come back so Krista can hear you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, you have the list of our teaching staff that will be approved on before April 15th, as required by statute. The way it's broken out is initial contract teachers, those that will be going to receive tenure next year, not this year. Those that have received their fourth contract receive tenure this year. Our recommendation is you approve those lists as seen next month. Any questions about those lists?
No, I appreciate the breakout very much.
Very good.
Ma'am? Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, we are down next to public comment, but I only see one member of the public in our audience, and I don't know that he's got comment.
Let me introduce you to Siler real fast, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
So, this is Siler Weaver. He's the student body vice president. He's involved in everything. He's awesome, amazing student. I'd say one of the best. One of the best students. Really awesome peer and really awesome friend. So,
And recovering from COVID. Bless your heart.
He's got to be an awesome friend to come listen to us.
I brought him here just to kind of show him how this is, how this goes and how it's done in case he wants to sit here if I'm gone one day. So
Absolutely, that'd be great. Thank you.
yeah,
Appreciate
so
you being
he's
here.
awesome.
High praise. I like it. Okay, with no public comment, let's move on to our action items. First item on the agenda is the personnel matter.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is broken out into certain categories. The first category are resignations that you've received. We recommend that you approve the resignations as listed.
So yeah, we'll take these into 4 separate motions.
Yes.
So I will entertain a motion to approve the resignations as listed, and I suppose you can name those, Mr.
Yes.
Thomas, if you would, please.
Taylor Limoges, David Sibbett, Jessica Espinoza, and Cynthia Murdoch.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Second by Jenny. Any further discussion? All those in favor of accepting the resignations, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is thank you, Krista. That's approved. Next is the lifetime of service stipend.
No, recommended for leave of absence.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, leave of absence.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we recommend that you approve the leave of absence for Sarah Orrock. She's having her second child in May, and so she's going to stay home next year and take care of the kids.
And that does have to have board approval, so
Yes, it
do we have a motion to approve the leave of absence as requested?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And did you get all that, Sherry? I don't have to name them.
Caleb,
Good.
second.
Yes, I think it was Caleb, but I can never tell between Dan and Caleb, so. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now, are we at lifetime of service?
We are.
Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we recommend that you approve the list of 13 individuals that have submitted applications for the lifetime of service stipend, which means they are retiring from the school district. They're always a happy bunch when they come in and they can retire. I recommend that you approve as discussed in executive session.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the lifetime of service stipend as discussed?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And I will just, for the public, we don't read these just because they do have 3 days after we approve it to change their mind, so we don't announce it yet. Last but not least, the administrative contracts. I'm assuming all those here want to have their contracts approved?
Yeah, I think so.
Even though we don't know budget numbers, and that
Madam
bugs
Chair,
the
members
crap
of
out of me.
board, we recommend that you approve the list of administrators Again, how you do this is actually their current salary that's approved, and then we adjust after negotiations.
After we know budget.
Yeah, after we know budget and negotiations.
And whether it has to go down or not.
Yeah. Again, I recommend them all highly. They're a talented group. We've enjoyed pretty impressive longevity for an administrative team, and I think that says a lot about what we offer here and the support we provide all these administrators. So that's my recommendation.
So generally, we do these in bulk as a motion unless anybody wants to pull them out. So, nope, I don't hear any. All right, do I have a motion to approve the administrative contracts?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Who was the second?
No. Other than to say thank you for all you do. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. You're all hired. I think that was it on personnel, right? That was it? Or do I have one more? Okay, that was it. Next is bus lease finance.
Madam Chair, members of the board, John is here to discuss bus lease. If you remember, we were here last month.
Yeah, George talked about this last month.
Okay.
Or talked about it, yeah.
After last month's board meeting, I started to fill out forms and things, and part of the things is disclosure. One of the things that US Bank was asking for was kind of our history on things. In 2018, we closed the print shop and sent back the copier. That was a red flag for US Bank. They said, okay.
Because we didn't fulfill the lease?
Because basically we canceled the lease
Yeah.
and things. And so they said, we don't want to enter the terms of that. So I then acted quickly and went to the next person, or the next organization on the list, which was offering a 1.6%. So we're basically going up 15 basis points on that. The state of Wyoming picks up the difference, so we're not doing that. But I've disclosed the situation, they asked about the reason why, and they're fine with that. They understand that the state of Wyoming reimburses the full cost of the buses. So, they've sent a contract. Usually we do not like to have a one and done on the same night, but because of the situation, I ask that you approve the bus lease with Kaiser Financial, who will then shop it out with one of the main trusts.
So this is titled as a resolution. We would have to approve, or a motion to approve resolution number. I need a number.
Yeah, so Sherry, I believe, puts the number down. It's like, 2001-1 or something like that.
Do you have a number yet, Sherry?
3 dash, it would be the date, today's date. I usually do 3-2-2021.
Okay, so that's the resolution number, not
Yeah.
usually, yeah, because usually it would be like 21-1 or 21-2 or something, okay. So, we can do that. All right. Any other questions, guys, for John? No. All right, I will then entertain a motion to approve resolution number 3-2-2001, approving the contract with Kaiser to do the bus lease.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, the motion carries. Krista, did you say yay on that one too? She's driving. Yay. Okay. Next, we have policy JEB, which is the entrance age requirements that were just discussed. So I would need a motion to approve on first reading policy JEB as amended.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, it carries. Last but not least, high reliability schools, and it looks like Doug, you are on the hot seat, or in the hot seat.
Next to the hot seat.
Next to the hot seat, something, yes.
Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, board, Mayor. So, if you see the contract, it's actually under the amount that needs to be approved by the board, but I wanted to make sure that you saw it because it is part of your board goals. Receiving high reliability schools certification at level 2 is part of the board goals. There were some things with COVID that kind of pushed us back a little bit timing-wise, but what this contract allows us to do is it gives us a full year to become certified. And so by approving this contract, we'll get the paperwork taken care of, and then each of the 8 schools will have the opportunity to get access to the program that they use to start submitting their evidence to become a high reliability school. So high reliability schools, it's actually, we celebrate it at the district level, but it's actually an individual school recognition. And so when all 8 schools are certified, then we're certified at the district level. The work, quite honestly, is done at the individual schools. Each has their own method, whether it's a committee or a group of people that primarily organize that. But it is a significant amount of work, and it is a real certification, which is exactly why we started this process several years ago. It's that external validation that what we're doing, what you're doing as a board, meets this high level of criteria to be high reliability schools certified. So.
And if memory serves, that these amounts were budgeted for, so this is not anything new.
Thank you, Chairman Bracken. It is important because I did have this as a question from one of the staff. This actually comes from federal grants. And so it is not out of our general fund. It's not one of those things that if we didn't do this certification, we'd be able to put that money towards staffing because it's not allowable in this particular grant.
I do have a question for you.
Yep.
How long does it normally take to get through each one of these steps for most schools? I've actually had a couple of people approach me now, staff-wise, that are really feeling overwhelmed. They're thinking that they're already really stressed with COVID, with trying to catch kids up that were obviously out for a few months last year, and kind of came to me and said, we are being pushed too hard. This should not be going through so fast. And I just wasn't sure if the board realizes how quick we're moving on this.
Forgive me, but I think that was sort of the point of this contract, is to extend out that time, Krista. I think that's exactly what we want to do, is, because usually it would be within a school year, but now it's a full calendar year.
Our original goal when we started
yeah, that's
looking
right,
at
2
this
years.
was actually last year. We extended it to this year in May.
Right.
And this extends it almost another year.
Right.
I think, and again, I can't speak for who's ever
Right.
challenged or frustrated.
But that's exactly what we're doing, is stretching out that time.
Plus the combination of our, I was just going to say, the combination of our new evaluation system and COVID and high reliability.
Oh, yeah, I
schools,
heard about the evaluations.
We've asked a lot of our teachers, and that's what I think is amazing about this, is our principals believe they want to move forward. We gave them the option. You can wait, and we'll give you
I
a year at a
recall,
later date.
and they committed.
And they have. So, yeah, we pushed them hard, but I guess, I think that's okay. I mean, we expect a lot from our students, we expect a lot from our teachers. The sounding board needs to be their principals. If they're concerned about how hard, they need to talk openly with their principals.
Why do other schools, like, are other schools taking 5 years, 10 years, and we're doing this in 2, or what's the norm?
No, it really is based on what individual districts, individual schools that choose to go through this process determine as their timeline. But I would say 2 years is on the outside timeline. And with high reliability schools level 2, it's really about effective instruction in every classroom. And that was the first reason that we pushed it off originally for the first year, was that we knew that we were going through this process of bringing in a new evaluation system, and
Right.
didn't want to compromise that. The work, and Krista, what I believe is that the work that our schools are doing around the evaluation system, the training that they're receiving in the evaluation system, all of that, it's not in addition to what we're already doing. Remember, high reliability schools is different from, for example, advanced ed, where it's, oh, we're gonna be evaluated this year, so we've got to put all of this stuff together, we've got to have all of these things, right? And it's a paper shuffle. High reliability schools isn't a paper shuffle. Yes, you do have to upload your evidence, but it's really about what's become institutionalized in your schools themselves. And that's where I am really excited about high reliability schools, because it's it's a different process than what we think of as a typical accreditation.
Remember, the first year accreditation was safe and orderly schools, and we did that in a year. And we knew the second step would take longer, and COVID is the latest, but we need to continue moving forward.
Well, and that was the question when we sat down at our retreat last summer to reestablish our goals. You know, we really were concerned about can we make this goal? And I remember talking with the administrators and saying, you know, do you need more time? And they wanted to pursue it, and God bless them for doing it. I think realistically, yeah, we probably do need some more time, especially with the evaluations. So I appreciate the fact that we've come to that as a district. But yeah, and then it's up to the individual schools. So to the extent we've got staff that are really struggling, work with your building administrator.
That's perfect advice, and I will also add that it's not just high reliability schools level 2, effective instruction in every classroom. You also have to prove that you still maintained your level 1 certification. So it's not
you don't just get to forget it and move on.
It's not a paper shuffle. It's not the, hey, let's put all this stuff together, make ourselves look really good.
It's an and.
Just walk away from it. What makes high reliability schools different is that you really have to show over time that you're really doing these things. And so that's what gives it credibility, that's what makes it different, and that's what I guess I appreciate about it the most.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the high reliability schools level 2 contract as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. We are down to board roundtable. Anyone have comments? I do.
Sure, I have one.
I do too.
Actually, just a reminder about the 2021 Legislative Forum. I'm really surprised they're moving ahead with this, but they are. It's on Sunday, March 14th.
In person?
Yes.
Oh.
From 2 to 4 is they have kind of a presentation for Wyoming school boards. Then from 4 to 5:30, you meet with your representatives. We usually take them out to dinner, and you can talk about legislation. And then on the 15th, you actually can go to the state capitol and lobby. So it's a quick trip. We typically leave early in the morning on Sunday. We come back late on Monday. If the roads are horrible, we won't take the Subaru.
And Cassie won't go.
When is that?
March
14th.
14th to 15th
So if you're
that weekend.
attending, just let Sherry know and we'll make arrangements.
Will do. I want to just say, you know, Representative Worf did reach out to the district and to Superintendent Thomas and did set up a time to come in and talk to the administration, and I was able to attend as well for a little bit of that. That was Monday, I think? Monday. We went through a lot of the bills and a lot of the concerns that we had. I appreciate the fact that he let me yell at him and tell me how stupid his bills were. But, you know, it is what it is. I do appreciate the fact that he made that effort to do that. You know, obviously I wasn't able to stay for the entire meeting, but I wanted to let him know that I did appreciate the fact. He's now in Cheyenne, so I don't know if he'll listen to this, but I did appreciate that. Anyone else? All right. Hearing no other things, we will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. I'm assuming there's no discussion on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Have some signatures back here.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Avery.
I got mine. So you're gonna go down? Canada.
I wouldn't mind it. I really wouldn't mind it.